Hi everyone, my name is Stacy Dempsey and I am here today to do a short interview celebrating 35 years of Dempsey Weiss and Associates being in business. And I'm here with Jack Dempsey and Dave Weiss Sr. So 35 years being in business. We know that a lot can happen in 1 year, so probably a ton of things have happened in 35 years. Is there something looking back that you can think of that has made your business partnership, worthwhile? Is there something that really stands out of memory in those early days of like, yes, I wanna start a business with this guy and see where it goes? Is there anything that you guys can think of?
Sure, I'll take that first. Certainly a lot of those moments, Stacy. Your dad and I, when we formed Dempsey Weiss 35 years ago, really it was with a vision of trying to be able to provide insurance coverages at a good rate and the right coverages, and broaden some of the different areas that Jack and I each had some expertise in, some succession planning, and certainly it became a whole lot bigger than that. We added health insurance later on and the investment piece. But I think that, one of the things that really separated us is that your dad and I never were afraid to invest in people. And I believe it's because it was the two of us. Like we had each other to fall back on. And so, there was times, and I'll bring up a time when we hired, we were just starting to make an imprint here and in South Jersey, and we hired two people at one time. It was Joan and was it Edith also at the same time? Was it the two of them? But we had two CSRs that we hired, and we were not going to be able to, from a revenue standpoint, we were going to be okay, but our expense side was significantly higher because we just hired two people. In the end, that turned out to be one of the best things we ever did by, taking a step back, but getting the people in place to be able to get ready for the growth opportunities that we were going to have here.
And so tell me just a little bit more about that moment of hiring two people. Certainly there's things that you say in front of, staff and teammates, but between the two of you, were you both like, oh man, did it feel to me when you tell that story, it feels like that was it was a really big step, but in my mind too, it has to feel very scary. So was there any kind of conversation between the two of you that were like, oh boy, here we go? Was it something? That's how I played it over in my mind.
That's exactly what it was. I mean, we would do, we'd do an annual planning meeting where we would plan out, at the end of the year, we'd be planning out for the next year, and we would, be thinking about, what do we need to hire, what roles, and that type of thing. And we would build all that out in our budget. And I can remember, even really to this day, walking out of those budget meetings feeling like, wow, we better do some business because we're gonna be putting a lot of money out, on the expense side. So we always walked out of those meetings a bit nervous,
yeah,
for sure, but it was a good nervous, because we knew we were investing back in the business. So yeah, but like Dave said, I think that's where the power of a partnership comes in and the synergy of a partnership, because you do feel like you're not walking it out alone. You have someone you're doing it with, and you can, so I think that made some of those decisions a bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And your dad has said this many times. It really made us realize we have to produce. We had to be able to get out, see more people, be able to bring more clients to the table, and we had to do it. And I mean, that was our duty. That was our responsibility. Having more staff, being able to allow the right piece for those new clients we're bringing in to have the support they needed to be able to do business with us. But that's why I believe we were high achievers. We just had to.
Right.
What was your question?
That would be called a nugget alert. We just had to. or as my Uncle Manuel would say, whatever it takes. So 35 years, what are you most excited about in this next chapter for Dempsey Wicks Associates?
Well, I mean, I think the exciting part is now we're seeing our kids in the business and seeing succession planning, really start to come to fruition. And so it's very rewarding to see something that you've built from scratch, well positioned to go well beyond Dave and I, and well into the future. So, and not just for, you guys, our children, but for we were able to hire and bring people on that are younger, and we can look at them and say this is a place they can have a career. As we see some of our career people that David just talked about that have been with us a long time start to retire, we can hire younger people, bring them in, knowing that they have a future here to spend their career. So it's just very exciting to have built something that will stands a really solid chance of continuing well into the future.
Agreed, for sure. Met some clients today who have some children in the business with them as well, and it's to be able to know that there's some opportunity to bring your kids into a business that not only financially is rewarding, but there's just other rewards, and that's taking care of people and knowing you did a good job, and helping the community, and being a part of something special. And so I feel like that's the excitement. But I always thought in order to look at success, you can't look at success in the future. You got to look at success. Really is the only way to look at whether I've been successful or not is looking back and seeing where you were and where you are now. I think that though the blueprint for the future is pretty solid with what we got here. The kids being in place and that young staff that Jack was talking.
Absolutely. So in 35 years, I'm sure there have been some challenges that you guys have faced together. Is there any particular instance that you can maybe share with everyone that was maybe a significant challenge that together you guys found a resolution to, and even maybe there were more opportunities came out of that challenge?
I would say that, certainly there's been many, many challenges over time. There was a time when Foreign Family considered, getting out of the workers' comp business. There was times where the rates were, there was some rate increases. There was some times where they shut down our personal auto and our, so some of the things that are happening today.
Yeah.
So we have faced those challenges. Building a security practice. Yeah. And your dad and I, spent many years together as general agents, and realizing that, wait, we can't just continue to do the same thing, two of us spending the same energy, and not being able to utilize our time most effectively, and building that. And, so I would say that, there's just been a lot of challenges for sure. And those are some of those challenges.
Yeah, and I think just, the challenges of managing people and the teams, and, but we've just been so fortunate to have, just people with us now who've been with us a long time, longevity, and, so just, and being able to see people, really build careers here, not just have a job, but, see how they're having impact in people's lives. It's just been very rewarding. But as we often tell people, one of the most, if not the most important thing about a business is building a team. And the most challenging thing about a business is building a team. It's managing people. It's not easy. And so, but we've been very fortunate to, make good hires and have a management team now that really takes care of that for us, where, Dave and I can really focus on what we enjoy to do best, and that is being in front of our clients and helping them. So, but it's a challenge, and you have to remember too, we've, you know, been doing this. When you look at 35 years of doing anything, you know, we can look back and with our clients, you know, I mean, we've walked life out with our clients, and many of them have been clients for, you know, 35 years, 30 plus years, you know, we're doing business with their grandkids now,
Yeah.
you know, so, you know, so, you know, you're walking life out, and it's the same with your team. You know, you bring people on, and, you know, they're building a career, but they have lives, you know, and they walk through very challenging things. And so we've had, you know, we've lost employees' spouses and children, and, you know, where again, very difficult things to walk through. But we walk through it, you know, really as a family. You know, we were there to support each other. And so again, you know, there's a lot of things that you walk through in 35 years. You know, a lot of it's good, but you know, there's definitely the challenges and it's in those challenges is where you really find your growth, you know, at the end of the day too. So
I do want to add too, you know, it's, you know, there are times that I'll have a night appointment, a late appointment, and so I'll be the one to close up the office, and I still get this thrill of going downstairs and walking around the office and walking around the work centers and just realizing, I mean, you talk about team effort. I mean, we do a lot. Our staff, our team does so much. And just to be able to walk around there and just realize these are the pieces that make all of this work.
Yeah.
You know, it's still to this day, for me, it's like, wow, it's impressive. It just, there's so much to it. So many good people that really made that happen. So, yeah.
So, if you could maybe share what you think is what we'll call a key ingredient for, or a piece of advice for people that are maybe thinking about starting a business or being in business and having a partnership like the two of you have had, what would be your piece of advice or what would be your key ingredient that you would share with that person?
I mean, for me, it would just be again the communication. You know, just making sure that you have communication between you and your partner. That you know you have, because you remember a partnership is really designed to generate synergy. So a partnership shouldn't be, you know, 1+1 = 2. It should be 1+1 = 4. You know, you should be able to see far more results or far bigger results in a partnership beyond just doing twice as much because of the synergy that you create. And so understanding, you know, in each partner what their strengths and what their weaknesses are and where they, you know, where they can step up and really do well, and just making sure that you're kind of operating in those strengths rather than, you know, trying to compete or something like that. You know, it's never going to work. You have to be able to say, all right, you know, Dave's stronger in that area, so let him run with that. You know, and I'm stronger over here, let me run with that. You know, and then just be confident in each other's ability to do that, and trust, you know, that everybody's putting their best foot forward. So partnerships aren't easy. You know, they're definitely not easy. But again, you know, I think that you know, if you just go into it with the idea that, you know, the goal is not to do twice as much, but it's to do, you know, 4 to 5 times as much as what you could do as one person.
That's good.
I would say that, you know, another certainly important piece that, you know, Jack and I had was to begin, if you're starting a, you know, a business and you want to hire talent, begin with the end in mind, you know, to think, okay, what's the vision? Where do you want to end up? Certainly, you know, 35 years together, that vision has even gotten larger than we ever, you know, envisioned when we started. Dempsey Weiss. And when you're hiring, hire not for that position, but the position that you see that person will be eventually. We hired, just take Cindy McQuaid. When we hired Cindy, we hired her as a receptionist, but the idea was not to have Cindy be our receptionist. Cindy was going to be the head of our health insurance team one day. And it just started small, her just when people would call, just her saying, by the way, I want you to know Dempsey Weiss now offers health insurance. And I'm the contact that you would have if you're interested. And so, we hired for that. So many of our staff members, team members, we hired them again, not for that original position. They were hired to start there, but that was never the plan where they were going to be. They were going to be in a management position. They were going to be a lead CSR. So when you're building your team, think with the end in mind.
Love it. So before I lose this thought, Jack, you had mentioned partnerships aren't easy. So what would be something that you could share with someone about that? What at times or under what circumstances can a partnership be challenging?
I think probably.
I'm listening.
Yeah.
I was going to say, maybe I should ask this one by one. Or
Yeah.
Senior, can you please leave the room?
Right. No, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's you just can't keep score.
Yeah.
I mean, you decide, what your strengths are, what you're going to be focusing in, and then you go do it. You don't sit there and go do it and then try to sit there and compare, with, your partner. If there's a big, disparity in effort, well, you got to have a communication about it. You just got to talk about it. But if you realize that there's going to be times when, I might get on a roll with stuff, and things might be breaking my way, where Dave's not, or vice versa. But we all know that the efforts, is being made. We're working the system as we laid it out. So we're not going to keep score on who's producing what,
right?
Or that type of thing, because if you start keeping score, then you're probably doomed for conflict.
Yeah.
But if there is a disparity, you need to, again, it goes back to that communication piece,
Yeah.
and probably communicate quickly, and not let it kind of fester,
Yeah.
so to speak.
That'll be nugget number 2. Communicate effectively, immediately.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yes, quickly. And I have to agree, Part. I think never have I ever thought, man, oh man, I'm doing so much more production. I'm doing so much more than Jack. It was always, I saw the effort.
Yeah.
The effort. Both of us were always putting the effort in. And, hey, we're in sales. So sales, you're going to have some times where it's going wonderful, and there's going to be times where there's a lull period. And that's, again, where those partnerships come up, where you're going through that period of time and things aren't happening, and you've got your other partner lifting you up. And,
Yeah.
And so, it's never been one that we've been able to, never once did I ever feel like, I'm getting the raw end of the stick. It was always,
Right. Yeah.
It was always, we're putting the time into together. So
Yeah. Good point. Excellent. So many businesses leave a mark on people and by what their services are and things like that. Over 35 years, is there an instance that you can think of that you feel like Dempsey Weiss has made a real impact on the community or on clients? And what would that be?
well, I would say that
Jack's shaking his head like there's just too many.
there's so many, and
Yeah.
I want to go from the client standpoint.
Yeah.
Okay. We have delivered millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of death benefits.
Probably hundreds of millions at this point, I would say.
Yes. I think we have over $1 billion of life insurance in place.
Yeah.
And so we've paid out enormous amounts of money. we have clients that have hit retirement age at this point who are now taking income and are independent, and they have, we don't have a crystal ball, but we've covered some of the bases that other maybe wealth managers and financial advisors wouldn't be thinking about trying to help. You get sick,
Yeah.
and now you need care.
Yeah.
And how much is that going to deplete my savings and my assets? We try to, take an approach that we have taken an approach where we put, plans in place for those things, because we know that you live long enough, those type of things are going to happen to you. Businesses, as you were saying earlier about, fathers to sons to grandkids.
Yeah.
I feel like we've played a part in that. We've been able to assist with those major changes in transactions and transitions in people's lives. I feel like we really have played a part in that for them. So I'd say that would be it.
Yeah.
And of course, the community, but.
Yeah. Well, right. I mean, the community impact, I think, is one of, again, what we do. And one of the rewarding things we'll hear, from people, when we celebrate these milestones of, so many years in business. But I've heard from many clients who have said, you guys have really been good for the community. And, and that's very rewarding to hear. And clearly we have an office, that's very prominent. We're in a somewhat rural area, but it's very prominent. Main road. We have employees that, most of them, all of them live in a pretty close proximity. And so it's nice to see where, they can come to a nice place to work, and have a career, and not travel into Wilmington, Delaware, or Philadelphia, or up into Cherry Hill, New Jersey, where again it gets real busy real fast. They can kind of stay out out in the country and work with a good position, good career. And so that's very rewarding. We've seen our employees start work here, and they've been able to educate their kids and go on nice trips because of the income that they were able to generate from here. And now we're starting to see them retire comfortable. So, so just that impact has been rewarding over and above, just the actual client impact that we've had in people's lives. So, and, we've had, a few years ago, we had a big tornado come through here and hit a couple of our clients really hard, and to be able to, I drive by those farms now and see all those buildings back up and brand new and they're in business. Those were devastating storms that hit, but yeah, we were there to put people back in business, and so again, it's just hard to put, a value on that impact, but it's significant.
Yeah. I just want to take a little further even from that, in just the involvement with not even just clients, but for people in the community that just maybe they're going through some difficult times. For probably 15 years, 20 years now, we've been doing the Christmas where we adopt 3 or 4 families and make Christmas just a little bit more special for their children, and being able to keep people's gas, put gas in their meter so that they have some heat in the wintertime. We had a golf tournament for many years that benefited a couple children that were going through some very difficult medical challenges. So, and Meals on Wheels, being able to get some grants for Meals on Wheels, and, just other, charities that, again, for some that aren't clients, but just the less fortunate, that we feel like it's, and by the way, some of those are driven by our staff and our team members. They're the ones that drive that, and that's, we appreciate that very much.
Well, but it originally started because I've been here all 35 years. For anyone that is not aware of that, But it really, that initiative did start with you guys, and obviously bringing on more staff and more teammates. Now it's a tradition here. So thankfully, the teammates here, they go, we know when we need to start. We know we need to start. Who can give what money, who can wrap, and you guys just match the money now. There's really, so that's a really nice tradition that you guys started. You probably didn't realize it was going to be a tradition, but something that just happens now automatically. So if there's one thing that you could change one thing in the last 35 years, what would that be?
Yeah, it's hard to say, really. I mean, I don't, because one change, there's such a lineal impact of things, and and looking back now, I mean, even in those challenging times, yeah, you would like to have not gone through them, but that they made a measurable difference in how we approach business and how we help clients and that type of thing. But I guess business wise, again, it's just, and we've done a good job with it overall, but I guess, again, just probably would have and should have maybe hired, a little bit more talent along the way. Because, it's easy in business, to get drawn into the things that really aren't the best use of your time. And so, we've done better than most businesses, I believe, in that area. But that would probably be one thing, is just hire more good people sooner.
Yeah.
Put it that way. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think too, we got into the security business, wealth management business in 1998, but we really didn't get into it until maybe 2003, 2004, when we really started making it a priority and made it intentional. That probably, maybe I wish we had maybe just been a little bit more intentional with that. Because again, everything that we really have tried to build here for our clients, as far as client services, and it is very rewarding to go out and see clients today who say, I get a great relief knowing that if something happens, it's all under one roof. It's one phone call that I have to make. And so, because we have certain clients that have stuff all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's, and during that time, it's a difficult time enough, and then to be able to try to track it back. But I think that if, that's the one thing I guess I would say, is that I wish that maybe we really got into that business and spent a little bit more time in that business, because it fits so well with what, our model is here.
Yeah.
Being able to provide, just this service of health insurance, business insurance, succession planning, estate planning, retirement planning, wealth management. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Those were all my questions.
All right, I have a question.
Yeah.
So what is the best piece of advice that you've given each other?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I'm looking for nuggets.
Nuggets.
Best piece of advice. Well, I know the best piece of advice Dave gave me.
Oh, there you go.
Put the ball in the back of your stance when you're in the sand trap.
That's why he beat me by a stroke.
The problem is he gave it to me like 34 years too late. For 34 years, he let me hit multiple shots to try and get a ball out of the sand trap. And then he finally gives me a lesson, and now I get it out every time. But
and by the way, I did wait for sure for that, because I could always depend if Jack was in the sand trap and I was down to him, I knew it would take him 3 or 4 shots to get out of that.
But the question, again, I don't know. I mean, I can't really think of a piece of advice. Like I said, when you're just communicating, you're talking, there's just so many things that course corrections along the way, that felt like this was the way to go, but then the two of us would get together, we'd talk about it and realize, you know, my direction probably need to have adjustments to it, you know, so, but I don't know if I can think.
My best piece of advice was Jack was an estate planner in West Virginia. And I said to him, get your butt down to South Jersey and let's form a partnership together. And we talked about it and he made it. He made it happen. And I made it happen too, because I went from North Jersey down to South Jersey and there was this small little business opportunity that came up from a couple of retiring agents in foreign family. And that was, you know, we knew each other, but it was like, let's get together and do something special.
Yeah.
And we did.
We did.
Wow.
Didn't we?
Well,
And thank you to our clients, certainly to our team members, you know, for 35 years of having your confidence and trust in allowing us to be a part of your family and your businesses. We so appreciate that opportunity.
Yes, we did.
you heard it straight from the goat's mouth. Goat, you guys know what goat means, right?
I
Yes.
do.
Okay, so they know what goat is. So you heard it straight from their mouths. We hope that you guys have found this interesting and leave us a comment below.